So this week is our budget. We hear Republicans talk about how they have fully funded the foundation formula, but let's be real, if you lower the bar and then claim victory, that's not quite fair. And unfortunately, we have done this on the backs of our senior citizens. That's very troubling for us. We have also seen higher ed has taken some pretty substantial cuts. Okay. And sorry, guys. Higher ed has taken some pretty substantial cuts, and while the universities are having discussions on what those cuts are really going to mean to them, if we continue to do that, unfortunately, we are going to see increases in tuition. They're not going to have any choice. So I'm really concerned about that. I did have one other concern too about our K through 12. Literally hours after we finished perfecting our fully funded so-called formula, we heard from the approach chair on the Senate side who says that is absolutely not going to stick. So it raises the question, was this really just a ruse to get our rural members to support the ill-created charter school expansion bill? And I think that is going to be very detrimental to our smaller districts as well as our rural districts. So with that, I'll take any questions.
One of the things that you've brought up throughout this process several times is the legal expense fund. How important is it to you now that we move forward with the legislation that you've brought up?
We are going to continue to push that. I think you saw in budget, we went from appropriating $6 million over the last 5 years. We have now moved that to $26 million. We have so far spent $17 million this year. We have spending authority now at $100 million. It would be very irresponsible of us not to do something to make sure that we are monitoring how that money is being spent.
What are your thoughts on the amendment by Representative Ross in House Bill 11 regarding abortion-related services and funding for places that provide those?
I mean, I think it's just the continued attack on women, but I think that amendment could be very while its target may be Planned Parenthood, this is going to cause some issues to our hospitals as well.
Back to the bill you were just mentioning regarding the legal expense fund. Is there any significant difference between that and the committee bill that's been offered?
So the committee bill only deals with the Department of Corrections. In fact, I talked to Representative Fitzwater today. He has asked me to prepare an amendment for that bill to take it back to my original bill, so to make sure that we cover all of the departments and we don't have to come back and do this time after time and deal with each department independently.
What would you consider to be some of the wins for the Democratic Party throughout this process?
I think from a perspective of Lincoln, we got $2.5 million. While it is not where it should be, I believe the number really should be somewhere between $6 and $7 million. It's more than we've done in the past. Representative Franks was able to get the $6 million back for the summer jobs program, which is something that I had fought for in previous years, so I'm glad to see that, and I've actually experienced working with some of those kids, and it's been an awesome experience. I think Representative Meredith had a huge win in getting the extra $1.5 million in for voter ID. I have had a conversation with the Secretary of State's office, and quite frankly, I'm not exactly enthusiastic with the program that he's put forth so far. And I did not think that the $1.4 million that was there was adequate, so I'm glad to see that $1.5 million there now.
On the voter ID money, how do you want to see that money used? Direct mailing or?
Well, I think there needs to be some direct mailing. The concern I have right now is they're simply putting out a flyer, and the flyer is somewhat misleading in that it is telling people that they can vote without an ID, which is somewhat true, but it is not encouraging people to go ahead and get that ID. And my fear is that we will get to a point, they will come back and change this law, and people won't have their IDs, and they still won't be able to afford them. So they need to do it while the state is willing to foot the bill.
That summer jobs program that Bruce Frank's amendment concerned, could you talk more about your experience with kids that have been in that and the results it's had with those?
So for
you work with?
the last 2 years, we've actually taken 2 students in each of those years. And it's really a fantastic opportunity for you to mentor those students. I had one student that was not going back to school because she didn't want to she needed a $2,000 student loan. I was able to convince her that that was a very small amount, and we got her back in school. I was able to help another student find $3,000 so that she could stay in school. So it is a great opportunity to work with these students, and sometimes you are the most positive influence that they have. They don't necessarily come from great homes, and they have all kinds of issues. So as we talk about getting more students ready for college, it's an excellent program.
I've also had experience with that, and I need to echo what Representative McCann Beatty has said. And I think that folks need to understand these kids are coming, again, from homes that haven't had sort of the training that most of us would expect to have. And even just counseling on proper office etiquette and attire, those are really important skills for someone's career and someone's future learning. And it's a real thrill to be able to mentor these kids and help them learn life skills that some of us take for granted.
Can I clarify, when you said we have had some of those kids, I assumed you meant in the House Democrat office, or?
Actually, in the law office that I work for.
And mine too, yeah.
What do you make of the all but $1 budget cut to the Missouri State Highway Patrol for the sobriety checkpoints?
You know, we had a lot of debate on whether or not sobriety checkpoints are an appropriate method of getting folks that are driving while intoxicated off the streets. And I think, you know, the body is probably pretty torn about what really works, and probably a combination of both is what is necessary. There were a lot of statistics given that said that the sobriety checkpoints don't necessarily do what we intend them to do. And I know in Kansas City they do. When they have them, they announce them on the news. And if you pay any kind of attention, you know they put them in the same places. And so it's pretty easy to take a different street and drive around them. So there may be some merit to that. I would have to look more into that to see, but I would say probably a little combination of both is best.
Do you have any feel for, at least in your respective parts of the state, whether the local law enforcement agencies will be able to continue to have those without the state funding?
I have not had an opportunity to talk to our folks yet. I'm sure that conversation will come up over the weekend, though.
Ditto, yeah. Kind of busy this week.
Okay, any other questions? All right, thank you.